Hello and welcome to the Post to Post podcast episode 100.
The big 100.
We have a round table of Brent, Neil,
hello,
myself, Jason, and Joey from Maine.
Lots of people.
It's been 3 weeks since we've done one of these.
It's been 3 weeks, and it's been a long time since we've had 4 people in one podcast since June of last year.
That's crazy.
Almost a year. I guess, well, not almost a year, but 8 months or whatever it is.
Yeah, and it's been a long day. We filmed 5 videos today.
5 videos, and 4 of them were close to an hour each, I would say.
And how much time did we put into those? Probably
to prep for them, I probably put in 10 hours.
But what, like even just today, like 4 or 5 hours, just.
Oh yeah, I mean we left at 9:30 and we didn't start filming till 2 something.
2, yeah. And it was 6:30 when we finished. So
yeah,
it's been a long day, and now we're ready to do a podcast.
Yeah, so this is releasing on Sunday, but we're filming this at 9:30 on a Saturday night. So.
Yeah,
because the goat's got to get up early Sunday morning and head her home.
Goat's got to drive through I don't say a snowstorm, but got to drive through some snow to get back to PEI. So I appreciate your indulgence in accelerating the podcast.
No problem.
Any big stories that happened Saturday night, obviously not going to be included because it's Saturday right now. So we'll just touch on them next week.
Yeah, there's lots of games going on. There's a couple have finished. I believe 3 have finished already. There's probably 6 or 7 underway right now. So we probably won't talk about them at all.
Probably not.
And talk about some news stories from the past couple of weeks and the past couple of days, and even as of today earlier of some injuries and stuff. So
yeah.
All right, so let's get right into it. Let's talk about the emergency backup goalie situation, because we've already talked about it. We made a video about it. We didn't really talk about it. We just read a couple tweets and gave our opinions after the game.
I mean, we made that video 5 minutes after it happened.
Yeah, and we got a lot of weird comments.
A lot of strange comments.
Yeah, so maybe we'll get into that in a sec. But if you would look at the news in the last 3 weeks since we've had a podcast, that is easily the biggest news that's happened. So whether we want to talk about it or not, that is the biggest news. So we should.
It's on every news station, whether it's sports or not.
Around the world.
I've seen it everywhere.
That's right.
It's unbelievable.
It's so big.
Since we've already heard kind of our opinions on it, Niels and I, let's ask Brent, like what's your opinion on in general on the situation?
In general, I think it's odd that it happened the way it did. To have one person in each rink that's free to be used by either team in the highly unlikely event that both goalies will go down. I just think it's really odd that this is the way they do it. The NHL, being a multi-billion-dollar organization, has this oddball clause that even a former pro can't do this. A former pro is not allowed to be one of these emergency goalies, because in order to be legal to play, they'd have to sign a professional tryout contract or some crazy thing. So it has to be an amateur. It has to be someone who's not on either team necessarily, but still has some ability to not be a complete idiot when they get in the goal. And I just love the way the story played out. I think it probably should never have happened the way it happened, but it did happen. And I absolutely love everything about what happened after that.
Yeah.
The outcome of the game, how he did, how they treated him in the dressing room, the media storm that he was riding for the many days afterwards, and just the wonderful way it has lit up his life, and also focused attention on things like kidney transplants and chronic disease. So there's a bigger purpose here, maybe, and that's why it really happened this way. There was some divine need to have this conversation, but it can't continue this way, and I'm guessing we might talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I want to ask you right off the top, why is his situation to you different than the Chicago situation?
Foster.
Yeah, Scott Foster. So Scott Foster made some really good saves when he went in.
He did, but the game was, I think, out of reach already.
Pretty much.
Like it was 4 goal differential at that point. He came in the third.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't have an opportunity to really affect the game a whole lot. I don't think. There was just not enough time. I still think that's a great story, too. I think it's a wonderful story. But in the case of this one, he came in the second period. He came in when the game was still very much in question. He let in a couple of goals, and the game was now only a 1-goal game until it got back out of reach again. And Carolina just put on a defensive clinic to
it was unbelievable.
Shut down the Leafs in the third. It was amazing to see them do what they did. And so I think that's what makes it different. And, of course, he won.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
He won, and he's the winning goalie.
That's
he
right.
got the first star. The goalie stick is now sitting in the Hockey Hall of Fame, all because of 28 minutes of glory. And I just it's a bit different than the Scott Foster.
Do you think the narrative that he was a Zamboni driver drove the U.S. media shows to have him on like Today Show and like Fox News and stuff like that? Like, because if he was just a regular guy who did whatever, do you think that appeal would have still been there, or was it like literally this is the guy who cleans the ice, and now he's
yeah. And he doesn't even clean the ice at the Scotiabank Center, Air Canada Center, whatever it is now. He cleans it at another arena in town, and he does other work for the Leafs. He is a backup, I think, for practices, and he played with the Marlies a little bit. So it's not as cut and dried as Zamboni driver, but the American media in particular, and somewhat our media, is driven by the best headline. Mm-hmm. That is the best headline.
Yeah, and I don't think he's driven a Zamboni for 2 or 3 years now, right?
Yeah,
he's actually like in charge of maintenance or something.
In some of the comments and media and stuff, we're trying to even discredit him a little bit more, saying he's an AHL Zamboni driver, like that's any less valuable than an NHL. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter what league he's a Zamboni driver for, but it's just funny that they were trying to peg him right straight to the AHL.
And this is something totally out of left field. The word Zamboni makes it a better headline. If the company that made ice cleaning machines was the Clark Company or the Foster Company, it wouldn't be nearly as funny. But just the word Zamboni is almost half funny just when you start it, right? So,
because the machine isn't called a Zamboni, that's just the brand that makes it, right? It's an ice resurfacer.
Yep, officially.
Exactly. But
sorry, go ahead.
No, nothing else.
You brought up the point that Carolina played such a great defensive game, but that was some of the criticism that we received in the comments, that we talked a lot about Toronto and really didn't mention Carolina that much. We did, but I think it was quite obvious. It didn't really need to be discussed.
No, that wasn't
how well Carolina played.
That wasn't the focus of our video either. It was the focus was on the backup goalie that came in.
Yeah,
and it was funny because that's like I'm not gonna turn this into a Leafs bashing thing, but
no,
that was definitely one of the worst Leafs losses the Leafs have ever had, and it came literally right before the trade deadline, where the GM is going to speak to the media. So
yeah.
You knew he was going to have to address that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. He like Kyle Dubas said, like, this was a no-win situation as soon as it happened, because either our team is going to lose to him, which they did, or he's going to let in so many goals that they're going to say, hey, you won because, number one, he's not a real goalie, and number two, he works for your team.
Exactly. It's like one of these rules.
He's a paid employee.
In 1920 or something like that, and just made it all the way until something actually happened where they had to discuss changing it.
So Brian Burke was on TV and he said he was embarrassed when he went in. He says, like, just kind of what Brent said off the top, this is a multi-billion-dollar company, and this is what you have as an emergency contingency plan. Like, so he said the league was embarrassed by what happened. Like, sure, it's a good news story for him, but it makes the league look bad.
It makes the league look really bad. You mentioned he was on a bit of a media tour.
Yeah.
Now, he was just at the Hockey Hall of Fame and he got his stick put in there. How do you guys feel about that?
I think that's a stretch.
I think that was a little too much.
The video I saw showed him putting it in a display case, and it looked to me like it's a display case that isn't going to be in that configuration for much longer. Like it's almost a temporary thing in a temporary place. So I don't think it's going to have a permanent home in some revered corner of the Hockey Hall of Fame. But even if it's there for a day, and it probably will be longer than that, but this will cease to become the biggest news of hockey in a couple of weeks' time, and maybe that display case will be rearranged with the next big thing. But it's a big deal. Of course, the Hockey Hall of Fame isn't owned by the NHL; they do their own thing, and they obviously thought there was some attractiveness to getting a piece of this action right now while it's hot, right?
I'm hoping it doesn't actually go in there and it's not a static display that you can go and see anytime. I'm hoping it's about them not necessarily purchasing, but acquiring it, putting it in their warehouse and deciding to use it later in the future or something like that, and not something that they're going to put in every day where you can come see it. Because, no offense to David, but there are thousands of players in the NHL currently and previously who deserve some of their equipment, I think, more in the Hockey Hall of Fame, more than David.
Yeah, I mean, he let in 2 goals on the first 3 shots, I believe, in that second period. And then Toronto just was non-existent, and Carolina was playing probably the best defensive hockey I've ever seen Carolina play.
And also, they had like 50 shots that game, so
So I mean, he wasn't really tested in the third. So I mean, it's definitely not Hall of Fame worthy what he did. It's just it's a hot story. Like, he's getting his own upper deck card. Like,
I don't like that either. Like, the story is Hall of Fame worthy. I don't know if there should be any equipment in there.
I don't know. I think they're kind of milking it now. Just a little bit.
They're definitely melting.
A lot of people get their 15 minutes. I think his 15 minutes have been a little bit longer than we thought. It's.
But I'm very happy for him.
Oh, sure.
No complaints. He deserves it. His family deserves it. The kidney research, the stuff that's going to come from it, the money that's been donated and stuff, it's all really good. But
do you think this happens in any other sport? Like in football, say every team has 2 quarterbacks, correct? You got the starter and a backup. What if they both get injured?
Or a kicker.
Who would go in place of them?
The thing
That's
is,
a really good question.
It is a good question, but everyone on a football team, with the distinction maybe of linemen, but almost everybody else looks more or less the same. Almost everybody else in the team could throw a football and at least in some ways kick a football.
Yeah.
Whereas a goalie is such a specific thing with equipment that needs to fit just right and all that. It's a lot harder, I think, to just throw anybody in. But in baseball, like I've seen, there have been baseball games where they go 13 or 14 innings and both teams go through their entire pitching roster, and then you get the center fielder up on the mound.
Yeah.
And it's happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's happened. It's usually not good, but it's happened where you just, once you play a player in baseball once, you can't put him back in later, right?
Yeah.
So once you take someone out, they're out, and you run out of players. So it does somewhat happen in other sports, but at least the fill-in is another member of the team, another member of the Players Association. How do you think the NHLPA feels about this guy being on their ice and he's not one of their people? Right?
Collecting all this glory. Right now.
There
I think
you
there
go.
was even a video we did where you said you wanted a player to go in as a goalie just because there was like a little bit of a rivalry going on that night.
Oh, maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But if this rule changes, what do? Do they have a professional?
So what Brian Burke was saying was what he would like is it's someone that has had some level of distinction of either like professional hockey or like amateur professional hockey. So someone that's been at least in the AHL level or a high major junior who's maybe been out of it for 10 years. So he's older now, but he did play at a semi-competitive level before. That's what he would
do. They add that to the exempt contracts for every team? Mm-hmm. So you know how you're allowed 50 contracts officially on the rosters, but I think you're allowed 5 or 10.
So you're saying instead of the home team being responsible, should the teams have to have someone come with them as a third backup goalie, kind of?
They do now in the playoffs. Every team brings 3. In the regular season, they don't. But I saw one proposal online where every team would be required by the NHL to hire one additional staff member who could work in any capacity in the team, but preferably as a video coach or a goalie coach or something. And that person would travel with the team on the understanding that they would be that goalie. So every team would have one at home and away games.
So they would get to pick who their emergency backup, essentially. Because right now, or at least in that game, Carolina had no choice. Like, you look at Brindamore's face on the bench, he's just like, what are we getting into?
Well, I think it should be kind of like baseball. Like you said, you have a center fielder come in and be a pitcher. Why not take the healthy scratch? Because every team's going to have a healthy scratch on any given night. Someone's up in the press box. Yeah. Bring him down. Put him on skates. He can obviously skate as a player.
Throw some pads on him.
Throw some pads on him. I'm sure he's played net at some point in his life. Like, it's not like he doesn't know how to stand up and get around and stuff. Like, he's a player on the team. He's paid. He's already paid by the team. Get him out there. Let him try it.
What if he gets hurt playing a position he's not comfortable in?
That's his own risk. That's the team's risk. If
you sign that contract, that's what you signed up for.
Yeah.
Could be.
If that was in the contract, but right now it wouldn't be.
Spend a day in the off season and train everyone on how to be a goalie if they need to be.
Just the basics.
Just the basics.
Yeah.
That way you don't have to worry about bringing anyone else. You don't have to worry about getting some random out of the crowd or some Zamboni driver or whatever. Yeah. You have a player that's already an employee of the team, already under contract. Boom. And it's fair across the game because you're not going to, like, if you go to Carolina, you might have someone who played very successfully in the AHL, but then you might go to Arizona and you might get someone who's not as successful. At least if you're taking a player who's already on the team, I mean, everyone's generally going to have the same experience of not playing net.
Yeah.
So, but having experience of being on the ice quite a bit. So
would that turn into your fourth line players start getting practices with pads on?
Yeah.
Just in case, like, hey, you're scratched this night, you could be going in?
Sure. I don't know. I don't know if they get paid more for it, but...
Like, this sounds like a whole new CBA or at least contract. Like, there's no way they're just taking this on. They got a union.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, sounds like a job for Gary Betton, right?
Pretty much.
Do you have any other comments you want to make about how Carolina performed, since we didn't really touch on it. Like Brindamore, the coach, made a great speech after the game. I think we did touch on that in the video.
Yeah, I mean, he said, he thanked
He said, you guys gave me a moment. You guys had your own moment. Remember this. You worked your asses off for him. He pointed at David Ayres. You worked your asses for yourself.
He thanked them for making him a part of this awesome memory.
Yeah.
I don't really have... I think things will start to slow down a little bit with David. And,
like, it's not the most recent news anymore, but I thought we should touch on it since...
Yeah. If something else happens or whatever, obviously we'll discuss it in a future podcast. But yeah, I think that's it for David.
Do you want to jump into Joe Thornton now, or do you want to do that after? Or?
You can do Joe Thornton.
All right. I want to talk about Joe Thornton.
George Thornton.
George Thornton. Thorogood. Because I thought this was kind of interesting. So he was disappointed that he didn't get traded at trade deadline.
Right.
He wants a cup. He thought he deserved the chance to, after 22 seasons in the league, he's running out of time. He's 40 years old, I believe. So he thinks that he deserves, or he didn't really word it that way, but he wants a chance to be traded to a contender. And there was a couple teams that came up, I guess, but none of them were considered elite contenders, so he didn't waive his no move. So teams like Boston, Colorado, and teams like that did not make a move for him or show interest. And the question became, do players like that, like players who have been in the league for a long time, he's been with San Jose for quite a while now.
Yeah.
Do they deserve an opportunity to be traded somewhere where they have a high chance of winning the cup when they're getting near the back end of their career? And it's not just necessarily specific to him, although we can make this conversation about him, but it's in general. Like, should people who have put their time in, with a lot of time in with a specific organization, if they're on their last couple of years, does the GM owe it to them to try to get them someplace where they might have more success, even if the return is not what they want? Or do they keep it strictly business? And if you're not really worth that much and players aren't going for you that much and there's not much being offered on a return, then there's no point in really trading you.
There seems to be a lot of people upset at Thornton. Maybe not upset at Thornton, but upset that he or players like him complain that they don't get traded because... Do
you think it's wrong for him to think like that?
I think it's... I don't know why a team wouldn't trade Thornton, regardless. He's after this year, he's done his contract. He's only on a 1-year contract, correct? So he's going to walk anyway. He may re-sign with San Jose if he still wants to play, but regardless, he's not going to be there. You're not going to make the playoffs. Take a 7th for him. Take a 6th. It's better than nothing. It doesn't matter if he's there for the rest of the year helping you. You're not going to make the playoffs. Take whatever you can get. So
do you think it's on him? I don't know how to word this. Like, would you say it's on the GMs to get the best they can get, and if it's not good enough to not do it, or it's on him to, when your contract runs out, you can approach a team and say, hey, I'll take basically league minimum to fit me onto your roster, and let's try to win this?
I think it's probably a little give and take on both sides, but I don't know. I mean, what's he worth? What's Joe Thornton worth? A 4th, a 5th, a 3rd? Kovalchuk got a 3rd. We might see...
If you could have Kovalchuk or Thornton on your team, who would you take?
Probably Thornton in a playoff series.
Yeah?
He's physical. He'll fight. Experienced. He's big. I don't know. I don't believe that their GM did not receive some kind of return. Even if it was from a bubble team like Arizona or Minnesota or Chicago, or these teams that are really trying to make the playoffs. Why wouldn't they want a Joe Thornton? Just take him on the 4th line and let him grind and do his thing like he's... But
should their GM be willing to accept a little bit less?
Totally. Well, they're going to lose him anyway. Why not take a 5th? I don't understand why you wouldn't. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, I think prior to this season, he was a UFA, right? He could sign wherever he wanted. He picked up a 1-year contract with San Jose. He may have thought that San Jose was a contender, and that was his pathway to get the cup. He may have thought that. Whatever he thought, I guess in a way, people scout players, but players scout teams. And he was scouting around, I'm sure, to see what team would offer him some money that he could play with and maybe win a Stanley Cup. He chose San Jose, and he started playing with San Jose. I don't think it's really cricket for him to now complain that San Jose, when they fell out of contention, didn't find him a parachute to somewhere else.
Yep.
He's the one who, he's a grown boy. He signed with that team. He could have signed maybe with other teams, and he decided not to, or maybe didn't get an offer from other teams. And I don't think a player deserves that consideration. You know, in the case of Ray Bourque, he earned it, and he got traded, and he got his cup. And that's the way it should have worked
Why
out.
does Joe Thornton not earn it?
I don't know. I don't know that he hasn't earned it, but I just don't think he automatically deserves it. Other people can decide if he earned it or not. I really don't follow him, so I don't know.
I don't disagree. Like, the fact that he signed with San Jose, I don't think was the wrong decision. They made it to the conference finals last year. He's been with the team forever. If he went somewhere like New Jersey, maybe he thought there was going to be a good chance in New Jersey, and then it blew up, and he wants out. And the GM's like, well, no. Like, you decided to come here. Like, no, you can stay here. He's been with San Jose forever. He's never gone anywhere else. I think him going to the GM and saying, hey, can you give me a chance, would probably be the first time he's ever done it. So why would the GM say no? Why would you treat a 15-year veteran of the team, or whatever, how many years it is now, and say, no, I'm not going to trade you? I don't know. I just think it's a bit of a slap in the face. I'm not saying he deserves it either. I'm just saying.
If you read online, it goes both ways. Like, some people are saying, well, no, it's a business. You're paid to do whatever. And if people aren't coming after you, that means you're not performing based on your dollars. So why should the GM be responsible for? But then it's also like a good point Brent made was that he probably did pick San Jose thinking they had a decent chance.
Absolutely.
Like he could end this year and say like he's a free agent again, and he picks Boston, and Boston doesn't do well next year, even though right now it looks like they're a decent team. Maybe he's like, maybe he finds it hard to pick a team, you know what I mean, that's going to go, because you don't necessarily know with the parity.
Yeah.
And then he thinks that once trade deadline is getting closer and it's clear who the better teams are, that he thinks he deserves. I don't know if that's the right word or not, but that's the word I'm going to use, because if he's disappointed, then obviously he believes he deserved to be traded.
Well, I honestly don't feel bad for him, because a couple of years ago when him and Marlowe were trying to re-sign, I think it was 3 years ago or 2 years ago, they were both trying to re-sign with the team, and he was 37 or 38 at the time, and they signed him for $8 million because Marlowe was going to leave, and they signed Thornton for $8 million. And I thought, what a gross overpayment for Joe Thornton at 37. You're going to pay him $8 million or whatever it was dollars? Like, that's crazy. Why would you... If you're 37, 38, why wouldn't you take 2.5 or 3? Give your team the opportunity to use that 5 somewhere else to bring in someone and win a cup. I think he was selfish that year and took $8 million.
Yeah, and it's not like he hasn't had good contracts.
Yeah, so I don't feel bad for him that he's stuck in not.
And I believe Marlowe got paid when he went to Toronto too.
Oh, he did.
The last year of that contract didn't look very good.
Yeah. But anyways, I understand both sides. I'm just saying I don't care that a Thornton could be any player. I just think that why wouldn't a GM get whatever they could get if they know the player's going to leave?
Okay, hypothetically, if the player's not leaving, say he has 2 years left on his contract. And
that's different.
Okay, so say if he has nothing, okay, say he does have 2 years. Say we are talking Joe Thornton.
Okay.
Do you think Joe Thornton, with 2 years left, or 2 more seasons after the current one, do you think he deserves to have the GM trade him to a contender, even though the return is not going to be great?
No, if I'm the GM, I say no.
Yeah.
Like you're here for 2 years. You're here for another year after this. What do you want? I'm not going to trade you. Like, you decided to sign him for 2 years.
So your opinion is the team does not necessarily owe that player anything, even though they may have given him 15 years of great.
Correct.
Okay, I'm with you.
But the UFA, you're going to lose him anyway. And even if you do trade him, he might come back.
Is there a chance though that if he had a no move list, by the sound of things he did
have a no move list, yeah.
The teams that maybe wanted to play for him or to make a play for him were on his no move list.
But I think he can waive that though.
He can waive.
He can, but he didn't.
Yeah.
And there were teams. There was confirmed 3
So if it was a
teams.
team like New York, who was probably at the time 6 points back,
I
he's gonna
believe
say, "No, I'm not
it
with
was
New York."
teams in the hunt. So probably West Coast, maybe, or
Well, there
some
was
of.
rumors of Vegas, but
Because if he had a no move and had the opportunity to waive it to go to a contender and didn't waive it, any shred of sympathy I might have had for him is gone right now.
It was said that there was no elite contenders.
Well,
So no Pittsburgh, no Boston, no Tampa,
Right.
Washington.
Essentially the top 5 teams.
It was
in the
probably
league.
teams like over in the West where everything's so close, are just looking for something to add. And with no real guarantee that he would have gone anywhere, I guess he just chose not to. Because I think he's still happy to be with the Sharks, which makes it kind of awkward to maybe the fans and maybe a little bit to the teammates, although the teammates probably understand a little bit.
I mean, he's getting paid $2 million, which I think is a fine number.
Yep.
not necessarily a hard contract to move, but if you're a team like Washington, who asked Montreal to take 50% of Kovalchuk's league minimum of $700,000, like these teams are so close to the cap. If he had have taken the league minimum this year, $700,000, that GM might have been able to move him somewhere.
Do you know Kovalchuk is now on 4 different teams' salaries right now for holding money?
LA, Montreal, New Jersey, and now Washington.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
What do you got?
Bobby Ryan. The story of Bobby Ryan is definitely worth talking about. He was admitted he admitted himself possibly to the player assistance program for, I believe, alcohol abuse. He spent a couple of months there. He came back recently, had a road game, did not make it on the score sheet to my knowledge, and then he played his first home game in Ottawa a couple of nights ago. And what did he do? He scored a hat trick, and the standing ovation that he got from the fans, his teammates, the other team, every single person in that building brought him to tears. It was incredible. One of the best moments of hockey I've seen in years.
Yep.
And
Right
it's amazing that he could go through all that. And because we talked about it when he publicly came out.
We said how hard it was.
Like, you got to have some balls.
Like,
to
you
say
know
that
you're going to be
publicly.
judged. You know you're going to be
Absolutely.
ridiculed. You're going to, yeah, like.
He comes back and he does that. Amazing. That could be a movie.
Yeah. And this is a guy that's taken quite a bit of heat, too, like, for performance issues. Like,
His contract is a little iffy, too.
Yeah, and has had injury issues as well as throughout his career.
like
so.
Brian Burke, particularly, is a guy that's been pretty harsh on him. Like,
Oh,
didn't
yes.
take him for the American team,
Yep.
kind of was bashing him. We even talked about when we did that. Was it a podcast we were talking about? It was a while ago now, but we even said like his upbringing was pretty rough, and
Yep.
like dude hasn't had a very.
It hasn't been all roses.
It's been pretty rough for him at times in his life. So
Yeah, it's good.
obviously,
to see.
big moment, huge moment.
And good for the Ottawa organization as well. When's the last time you saw the entire fan base in Ottawa get up out of their seat and clap or cheer for something
All
that
500 of
wasn't a goal? Like, just a really good story for Ottawa.
And they weren't just clapping because he scored a hat trick. They were clapping
No, it was for the
the
person.
entire story.
Yeah, yeah.
The person, his entry into the pit, and then his walk back into redemption, and showing his redemption through performance in a game. It was all that. It was a congratulations to him for just coming back, for just being there. And they probably after the third goal, they knew they had the license. They knew they had the ability at this point to get up and celebrate him right there, because they're even allowed to throw things on the ice, which is hardly ever, right? But you can when
Yeah.
there's a hat trick.
I mean, like when he made his announcement, we appreciate you because you showed us yourself at your worst.
Yep.
And now we thank you for showing you at your best.
Exactly.
So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. And it's not been a great year in Ottawa, and they haven't had much to get up out of their seats about and get on their feet. And it's a great story. I hope it continues to be a great story. Some of these struggles never really end. They just go into remission for a while. But we saw with Cashin, for instance, a few weeks ago, where you can really come back from the pit, but then you're never that far. So let's hope Ryan's locking in solidly to a new life here.
Yep.
Because he's still young enough to be a big contributor to any team that he plays on for a couple of years to come. So
Yeah.
And I like that fans know what's going on too. Because I mean,
Absolutely.
we're at home. We have the research staff and the announcers, and when they're feeding us, they're basically telling us what's going on. But these guys are just sitting in their seats and they're understanding the moments, like the David Ayres moment when he get the first star. Like, this is a guy that came in for the other team, but all the Toronto fans stuck around and applauded him, even after their team didn't play in the third period. And then you got this where they understand the importance of Bobby Ryan and what he went through, and awesome ovation.
And it wasn't just a standing ovation. It was...
And it's not, I don't know what the word is. It's not like the arena's telling them to do that. This is natural.
Spontaneous.
Yeah, it's a spontaneous event. Like,
Absolutely.
you couldn't plan for this. It's just, it's awesome to see.
It wasn't like it was a 10 or 15 second, stand up clap.
Yeah.
We're talking minutes.
Yeah.
Like, this went on minutes, and it was awesome. So
Can't imagine how overwhelming that must have been on the bench.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's obviously what brought him to tears and stuff. But good on the Ottawa fans for recognizing that, like Jason said. And
And he will never forget that either.
never forget that. And that'll give him strength for the future as he battles. I'm sure he's still battling his alcohol.
And Ottawa's got a lot of things to look forward to. Like, I've seen a picture online that showed like here's what's been out recently, and it showed like Carlson and Stone and a couple other people. But then it shows pick, first round, second round, second round. Like things are happening in Ottawa. In a couple years.
Yeah, like no joke.
Yeah,
and I don't like that. I'm a Canadian
It's
fan.
taken them a while, but it looks like they're finally taking the time to do it right.
Yep.
And we haven't talked about Melnick in a while. Another great thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
You might have just jinxed it though tomorrow or something.
I mean, he's still dealing with legal issues, but
yeah, he's too busy with that.
Yeah.
One thing I would like to discuss, if you don't mind moving on, is the Brady Skjei trade. I did not discuss it in my trade recap video because that trade was not finalized at the time that I filmed it, so I didn't even want to mention it. But I wanted to bring it up in the podcast because it deserved to be talked about. So the Hurricanes acquired Brady Skjei, who's under contract for $5.25 million, and the Rangers got in return a 2020 conditional first-round pick from Carolina. And the conditions are the New York Rangers will receive the later or lower of either the Carolina or Toronto 2020 first-round picks because Carolina has Toronto's. So, is this a fair trade? What do you guys think?
This is a baffling one for me because the whole Kreider thing all the way up to the trade deadline was, is he going to be on the move? Where is he going to go? Like, people were betting money that he was going to be going.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the lineup, I'm probably not putting Brady Skjei at the top of my list of players to get traded.
And then they go ahead and re-sign Kreider.
Yeah.
And they look like they were staying pat because they weren't that far behind the playoffs.
Yeah.
They're only, 6 or 8 points at the time. And they just go ahead and trade Skjei.
And you know,
I didn't see that one coming.
You almost have to overpay for a defenseman in a lot of trades.
Yeah.
They got a first round pick. But then look, Tampa paid a first round pick for Goudreau.
Barclay Goudreau, yeah.
And I don't know, like, no offense to Goudreau, but I think Brady Skjei is the better, well-rounded player and more valuable just based on the fact that he's a defenseman. So I think long-term, this trade probably works out on both sides. Obviously, we don't know who that pick's going to be. It's hard to say pick a winner or a loser here. But, I mean, if Carolina's going to go and get Brady Skjei, they're pretty serious. So, I mean, good on them. I'm disappointed that Brady Skjei didn't work out with the Rangers, though. Like, I expected him to be long-term.
Right.
But anyways, yeah. Want to talk some injuries?
Yeah, since we just talked about Kreider, let's...
Yeah.
Speaking
I don't know the full story. I just know that he apparently broke his foot and is going to be out
He's done.
for the rest of... Like, how disappointing would that be to sign the dream contract that he's wanted forever and the team that he wanted to play on, the team that he's already been playing on? What happens the next game you play? You break your foot. Unbelievable.
All that money gone.
It's crazy. I'm sure we'll know more about his injury specifics as the weeks go on and stuff. And
It's pretty fresh right now.
I don't know if he needs surgery. Like, maybe that information has been released. We've been pretty busy all day, so apologize if we don't have all the up-to-date information. But and then the Stamkos
Big one.
announcement, 6 to 8 weeks.
Surgery, yeah.
What happens in 6 to 8 weeks?
Interesting.
I mean, that's early May. The playoffs are already underway. So, I mean, he could potentially be there for the first round if it's 6 weeks. But if it's 8 weeks and Tampa goes out in the first round...
That would never happen.
We've seen a lot of injuries that have been projected to be a certain time, and the players have come back well
the Shea
before
Weber
it.
thing.
Shea Weber was unbelievable.
I don't
crazy.
even understand it. I think the Montreal Canadiens trolled the media.
It's like, you need to get some bed rest, and he just got up and put his skates on and started playing hockey again. It's like, I'm not doing that. Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't want Tampa to win because
I think they can get along without him,
Oh,
though.
absolutely. I feel bad for Stamkos, though, because he broke his ankle. Did he do something to his knee or something, too?
The one that he broke in Boston. Remember that one?
Yes.
Whatever bone that was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the bottom
Didn't
right
he have
there.
a high ankle sprain or some other long-term naggy thing?
Yeah.
Like he's been
He's had some serious
not great.
injuries.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's a worst time of year.
Yeah.
Like, if this is in the first 6 or 8 weeks of the season, not a big deal. You can,
Yeah, this is the stretch.
This is
and Tampa's rolling. Well, they are rolling, but they have lost a couple lately, too.
yeah. And if it's an average player on the team, fine. This is Steven Stamkos.
Now, the article we read just said core muscle.
Core
So
muscle.
that could be leg, torso, upper body. We don't know.
I thought he broke it. Oh, yes, sorry. I was looking at the Kreider. It's...
Do you think hockey players target those parts if they know that's the injury on the player?
For sure they do.
I think especially in the playoffs.
That's why a lot of teams hide their injuries when they
Like
happen.
in basketball, they tell you exactly what's wrong. Like this, he pulled this, and this.
He's got a broken nail. He'll be out for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's all the injuries. That's all the fresh injuries that I know about.
I thought it was kind of interesting too that Stamkos has had a lot of injury history, but that last year before he went to his free agency, when a lot of people thought he was going to go to Toronto, he was betting on himself not to get hurt, because he didn't re-sign with Tampa, which was a huge risk to him.
That's a big risk,
but especially with that injury history. So
yeah, it's pretty crazy. If we can move on from that, I just want to look at the standings really quickly.
Sure.
Now, obviously, we're filming this as games are going on, so these standings will have changed by the time you listen to this. I realize that, but I just want to point out how close some of these races are. So in the East, the third place Pittsburgh Penguins have 80 in the Metro. And then you got the Islanders at 78 in the first wild card. Columbus with 76. Carolina with 74. The Rangers with 74. Florida with 72. It's unbelievable how close the East, and if we go over to the West, it's crazy. So Calgary's in the first wild card spot with 73. If you go up from then, you got Edmonton at 74, Vancouver at 74. Below Calgary in the second wild card spot is Nashville with 72, Winnipeg with 72, Minnesota with 71, Arizona with 70.
Do you remember a conference ever being that close?
Not both at the same time.
It's unbelievable.
I don't remember both ever being this close at this point of the year. As hockey fans, this is the best.
This is why the 3-point game exists, to make this situation happen.
Correct.
And I hate it.
Yeah, I do too.
Hate it.
I do too.
I agree, actually.
I like a 3-point win, 2-point overtime win, 1-point overtime loss, no shootouts.
How many is Florida behind Toronto again?
I believe 4.
Do you find it weird that Florida gave players away when they're right in the thick of things?
I don't know why that Trocheck thing went down.
It's unbelievable. You're right there. And it's Toronto. Like, Toronto is throwing games like that they should be winning.
Mm-hmm. They've won 2.
But Florida's doing the same. Like, it's for the taking right there, and just nobody's grabbing it. Like, it's unbelievable.
I don't understand. Excuse me. The Rangers have been playing so well lately, 8-2-0. They lost recently to the Islanders. But, in 2 points, the Rangers are tied with Columbus and still have a game in hand.
Yep.
Like, New York has gone from, I wonder what pick they're going to get in the lottery, to, damn, this is Columbus of last year. They might sneak in to get in the first wildcard spot. And if they get in, and if they face, it doesn't really matter who they face. When a team's hot and they get in the playoffs,
that's right.
Man, look out.
And this is now without Shesterkin in net.
Yeah.
So
these hot teams like the Rangers, even Carolina, obviously Tampa, Philadelphia's been playing so well lately. Like, these teams you have to worry about. And obviously you need to worry about the Washington and stuff. But I would rather play a Washington who's playing average than a Rangers or a Carolina or someone else on a streak coming into the playoffs. Like,
Not me. What about you? Man, Washington has Boston's.
Personally, I don't think Boston would be where they are without those points in overtime. They're currently set at 12 still, right?
That's unbelievable.
That's a lot of points that we could have just lost.
Mm-hmm. Columbus has 14.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you. I wouldn't want to play a
Washington scares me.
bubble team.
Yeah. The old man likes the Leafs matchup. He has 100% confidence. He thinks the Leafs can not touch Boston.
Really?
He thinks the Boston's in their head. And I'm just like, man, all Freddie Anderson has to do is stand on his head, and you get that offensive going, and they're going to score goals.
Yeah.
What position do you think Philadelphia is in the league?
Overall?
I believe they're second in the division.
I'm going to say 18th. And that's without even looking.
Philadelphia?
In the league.
In the league.
In the league.
Oh. I'm going to say higher than that.
10th. Total guess. I have no idea.
Come to me. I'm going to... Okay, over under 10. I'm gonna take the over under 10. No, I'm gonna say above 10.
Okay.
I'm gonna say 8 or 9.
8 or 9. Okay.
Maybe that's too bold. I don't know.
The Philadelphia Flyers, as we are filming this, are 6th.
Bam.
In the NHL.
Wow.
That's
6th.
unbelievable.
They are 2 points behind Colorado.
I'm
Where
okay.
did they come from?
Listen, I'm okay with that.
They are quietly winning, and they're so good at home. If they can get home ice and play a Pittsburgh or whatever in that first round, I mean,
They were just out of the playoffs not that long ago, weren't they?
They were what? Sorry,
just outside the playoffs not that long ago, were they?
Oh yeah, like they've always kind of been in that bubble area, but not really doing a whole lot. And now they're just quietly winning.
They've only lost 5 games at home.
They're unbelievable at home. Carter Hart is awesome at home.
I credit Gritty.
One of the best home teams. So
Okay, speaking of Gritty, I want to talk about Gritty.
What do you
Was it
mean?
you that told me about this yesterday? The Gritty and the Men in Black?
Yeah.
So
he's got
Gritty has his own Men in Black people.
his squad.
Yeah, like they stand there with their sunglasses on and their suits, just like the Men in Black guys do.
His
on the
guards.
poster. And they're just inanimate. He's there jumping like a fool on the glass. Those guys are just statues.
That's
What's up with
amazing.
that?
Probably because so he doesn't assault someone else or get claimed to.
Okay, here's my question. So were those guards there before that happened?
yes,
So they were always there.
because I met Gritty back in November, and this was way before that happened.
So how did
and
that?
they were there.
So how did that allegedly happen if those guards are there?
That's
I
true.
think it's a ruse. I don't think they're actual guards. I think it's just. I think they're there just
Part of the show.
Do you think they're
Yeah.
characters too?
I think they're characters.
That's
'Cause
unbelievable.
They
That's
assist them in throwing stuff at the fans, and they'll
That's
give him like the
amazing.
gun to shoot.
Speaking of, we got trolled. This is getting way off topic. Did you know who was the guy that took the slap shot in the All-Star game? The older guy.
Al MacInnis?
Do you know his shot was actually not 100? That was fake. And we bought into that. We are like the only people around that know that. It was only like 70 something.
What do you mean?
They faked his number.
Why?
The 100.2 or whatever?
What?
Not real.
What do you mean it's not real?
Everyone was talking about that.
What?
Remember, he's like, oh, he still got it.
Yeah.
Not even close to 100. That was a legit fake thing. And they
They
put
do that
that
on purpose?
It was on purpose.
How do we know that?
It was pre-planned. It was online.
Oh, must
And
be
everyone
true.
in the comments like, I can't believe people actually fell for it. I was like, holy crap, Neil and I actually talked about it in a video and we thought it was real. And they're like, if you actually look at the shot, it doesn't look like it's going 100 miles an hour. And I'm like, I guess you got a point, but you know, I just looked at the clock.
Why would they even do that though?
So now I have trust issues with that clock or that number. Like in the what was it the junior league? That guy hit 109 miles an hour, the new hardest shot.
Yeah.
How do I know that's
Oh
real?
yeah.
That's true. That's weak.
So anyway, I just want to let you know that we've been trolled, and we fell for it, and we didn't know.
I want 2 machines.
Controlled by the league itself.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, everyone's like, I can't believe people didn't know that was fake. I was like, what? What was fake? That was fake? It's like we did a video talking about that.
I am not happy about this, but I will forgive because Al MacInnis is from Cape Breton. So
Shout out Maritimes.
shout out to Canada. Yeah. All right. Well,
Okay, so we've been going about 45 minutes or so, I think.
Yeah. It's 45
Let's
minutes.
talk real quick about the marathon video sessions we did today because it's been a long day.
Right. So I think in the last podcast, I mentioned that we were going to do
A pretty big series.
a series, a March Madness Ultimate Hockey Logo series. I picked 128 teams from 33 leagues around the world. I picked the best 4 logos from each of these leagues that I thought, personal subjectivity here, and then I randomized them to get the matchups in the first round. And so there's 4 brackets of 32, and every single bracket got its own video. And we had to come to a conclusion together of which logos moved on and which ones didn't.
Some of them were fast. Some of them we had to fight over.
Debate and trying to swing
Yep.
some decisions. But anyways, we filmed all of that today. It's completely done. We know who the winner is. There are 5 videos, well, technically 6. I haven't filmed the intro video yet, but you'll see an intro video. You'll see the 4 videos that we've filmed.
So if you're listening to this on audio, go on to the Post to Post Productions channel.
Right, the post production channel.
And it will be there. And it will be a series, like I said, of 5 or 6 videos.
Yeah, intro video, the 4 series videos or bracket videos, and then the final video, which is us discussing the 4 logos that made it, the 4 winners from each bracket, and we decide the actual number 1 winner. So all these videos will be releasing starting in March, which is today as you're watching or listening to this. So if you're not subscribed to the Post to Post podcast channel and you want to see what we think is the best logo in professional sports or in professional hockey, please go watch that series. And it's a lot of fun because there's some laughs and there's some bloopers and stuff, and
I'm going to be working on a
we're going to be
reel.
cutting out a lot of the bloopers for a blooper reel, but we're going to leave some in as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a really enjoyable, fun, lighthearted series, and I think a lot of people are going to like it. And we had a lot of fun doing it just in general. Even if no one was watching, we still probably might have done something like that just for fun.
Oh,
So,
easily. Yeah.
yeah, we had a great time doing it, but we are exhausted. We spent the entire day getting ready for it. I probably
We were up late last night.
I did so much research for it. I mean, I had to go to every single league, look at all the logos, decide, make the decision, download the logos, and then just
Come up with the brackets.
design the brackets in Photoshop, naming of files, figure out how we're going to put on the TV. And
Yeah.
it's a lot of work.
We had a
Don't
long
regret it.
drive ahead of us yesterday, so
Yeah.
we were already pooped by the time we got here.
Yeah, so
Yeah, that's right.
it's a busy day.
And in one of the videos, the first one, second one, first one, first one, second one, third one, fourth one, I didn't get the logos lined up right. So we did a whole take on the second level of bracket. And then I realized, wait a minute, that wasn't the right logos going against each other. We got to do that again, boys.
Yeah, we spent like 10 minutes.
So it was a 10-minute first round through. Second round through was about 3.
yeah.
Because they're like, all right, let's get this over with. Whoops.
Yeah, some mistakes were made, but
Mistakes,
at the end of the
bloopers.
day,
So anyway, if you like rankings, if you like looking at logos, which 128 logos, you're probably going to see something you've never seen before.
Yep.
Brackets, it's something you can follow along with and have your own winner. I think there's a lot for everybody in there. And
Yeah.
it is a series, so it's something you can kind of just look at over time. Should be pretty fun for most people. I
yeah,
think.
and I think there's like a lot of this content that we make. It's a lot of it's you watch once and you're kind of done with it. I think a series like this has some rewatchability. That's not a word, but do you know what I mean? Like you can a year later you can kind of go back and kind of watch it again and forget about parts because it's a series where the 4 main videos are close to an hour each. Or
I still go
or at
back
least
and
a half.
rewatch the Goalhorn video.
Some of those videos do have rewatchability. I think this series will. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm excited for as well. Because
Still a lot of work to come, though. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I
just
mean,
raw footage right now that has to be.
the editing work is going to be
It's going to be a little bit.
ridiculous. So I don't know the frequency that I'm going to release these videos. I'm hoping at least every second day, but I don't want to commit to anything because I don't know the process.
It might take longer than you think it's going to.
It might take me 8 hours to do every. Like,
The first one is going to take the longest, and then hopefully you can template that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I ask for your patience, but I thank you for subscribing, and if you are excited for it, then I appreciate that. So yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, I think this one is definitely, like a lot of times we'll say this is going to be an early one. This is actually an early one, although we are around 50 minutes
50
almost. It's
Yeah.
getting later, and Brent has to get up and go home early in the morning. That's why we're doing it tonight. So we will
Thank
close this down now. But it was nice to have a round table going. And like I said, when that series of videos comes out, you're going to get all kinds of the 4 of us. So you're going to have this 45, 50 minutes plus 2.5, 3 hours, who knows, of us in that other video. So
Absolutely.
next week we'll have the podcast back to normal with a bunch of notes and stuff written out. It's like today was a busy day, and we were meeting with Joey yesterday, and just been a lot going on this week. It's been a lot of fun. And this will be the very first video uploaded to the new YouTube channel. So
Heck yeah.
that's cool
boy.
too.
And this is the first video where our new set has had 4 people in it. And just before we go,
I think that's 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do have a Gary Bettman up and behind. We have some shelves hung up. We have a couple jerseys hung up. We're gonna have 2 more jerseys hung up by next week, I believe.
Yeah.
We do have our new. I
plaque
think I'm
back
standing
there.
in front of it. Our plaque is up with the people who help support this desk. Obviously, you can't see that as well when we have 4 people on camera because it's not as tight as it normally is. But you'll see that next week. But yeah, just thank you everybody for the support and for listening, and looking forward to.
good stuff. Before we go, I just want to get your guys' opinion. So this is the first time you guys would have seen this set.
Yep.
What were your thoughts on it when you first saw it? Was it bigger? Was it smaller? Was the desk further or closer to the wall?
Probably not as interesting as seeing the first desk he had in PEI, right?
Yes, it was very.
Because that was your first time seeing anything like this.
I had been watching Neil for probably 2 years,
2 years, yeah.
and I made the trip to PEI last summer. Saw the old studio, and it was
Studio
very
A.
very surreal. I was like, man, I'm actually here right now. But I'd say now that I have some experience, I came down here and was like, oh, this is awesome. It was a cool setup. You guys did a great job.
Do you think that, like, if you were going to give us any suggestions of things that we could add now that you've been here, what do you think that we could do to improve it? I don't want to put you on the spot. But
No,
if you
I
have
know.
anything you don't have to answer, but if you have anything on top of mind, let me know because we want to improve. So
There's little things we definitely know we need to do, like
Oh, yeah.
2 more
Maybe
jerseys.
one more light in the back corner, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the back
Like a
corner's
soft
dark.
light or something.
Yep.
We do have 2 new lights up above. if I was sitting in Joey's seat, I'd give you a demo, but sometimes they blink, so we have to figure out why that's doing that. We have another 2 lights to do, so it'll add some color to the desk.
Where's the on switch on it?
It's complicated. It's not. You gotta click buttons and move sliders. So
it's very strange.
Go to 127.
Yeah. So we have 2 more lights to install other than the ones that are up there. So there's just a lot of little things to do.
Yeah.
Any suggestions from you, or any first impressions, or?
Well, I really like what you've done with it. I thought it was about the right size. In my mind, though, having been here before for other videos we've done up against this wall with green screen, it pictured in my mind that this corner was actually in a different corner of the room.
Neil took him down last night. Sorry to interrupt, but he's just like, "This is in the wrong corner. It should be in that corner." That's all I heard. So Joey and I said, "This is in the wrong corner." That's all you could hear.
But because it needed to fit with my imagination of what it would be like.
Yeah.
But I really like what you've done with it. I think the brick background and the shelves and the jerseys hanging there and Gary, it's awesome. Something I would like to see sometime is like a score clock or something hanging down behind.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be pro.
Yeah, a score clock with maybe a timer on it, just so the viewers, if you're doing the podcast, you have the score clock winding away in the background. They can almost look at their own timestamp, and without you having to provide a lot of that stuff. You could just look at it yourselves and just say, "Oh, okay, that's when we started talking about whatever." Something like that'd be cool. You could probably find something.
All right.
That's good. Or every time you screw up, I get a point. Every time I screw up, you get a point.
Yeah, shots on goal.
Yeah.
But I really like what you've done, and the technology that you've brought here. These 2 guys, I don't know what they would have done in the 70s, because before they invented all these USB remote control programmable lights and stuff, I think you guys would have been just run ragged.
Yeah, maybe.
But you have so many dang gadgets in here. It's just amazing.
There's a lot that goes behind this production.
Oh, wow.
And now that I see it firsthand,
I would tell you right
amazing.
now, having 4 people on this desk, way better than 4 people on that desk.
Oh my god. Yeah.
We were sitting shoulder to shoulder, and
It didn't look that close on camera, but in person, it was
like
close.
there's a video where I'm laughing over the Periscope, and I'm literally touching Justin's shoulder, and I'm literally like shaking. So he's just like, "What's going on over here?" Like,
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks guys for joining. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
us.
It's great to be here for the 100th anniversary, or not one. Well, I guess the 100th anniversary podcast. So it's great to be here.
Absolutely. Like hoping for 100 more.
Yes.
80 of them was you 2.
Yeah, just us. Yeah.
I started and ended the centennial.
Well, you started and then ended,
You left.
And then
Yeah, started and you left.
Again.
Yeah, kind of, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, Jason, take it away.
No, that's your job.
Heck no.
All right. So, audio listeners, love you guys. Just keep following like you do. If you're on YouTube and you're obviously watching this on the new channel, thank you very much. Appreciate that. We are trying to grow this channel and the Post to Post Productions channel. Like I said, Joey, thank you for coming. Brent, thank you for coming.
Yes, sir.
And we will see you guys in episode 101 next week.